Uh, it's late. I'm tired. But before I tap out for the night, I gotta address what happened today. Because what happened today was, I, it was something, right? It was something historic. It was something beyond anything that you could have expected at the ballpark in Seattle. And, I want to address it. Now, this video, to be clear, this video is just really going to talk about this series, the ALDS against the Houston Astros. This video is just for what just transpired over the last handful of days. There will be another video coming later where I talk about the season in totality and where we go from here. And obviously, when I make that video, I'm going to be saying some things like this was a great season. I'm really proud of this team for doing what they did. They have a lot of potential to be better in the future, etc., etc. This is not going to be that video, though. This video just deals with this series. So, Houston sweeps 3-0. All three games close, all three games winnable right down to the final moments of the game. And today, Houston went into Seattle, played an 18-inning game, and won 1-0. And I was there. I was there today for 8 hours, 6.5 watching the game. Maybe I was there even a little longer than 8 hours, I'm not sure. But I was there. And I gotta tell you, as good as this season was, and as encouraging as it is that they're playing as well as they are, with the limitations they have as a team, and as promising as this is for the future, and as lucrative and successful and fun as this season was, sitting in a baseball stadium up on the 300 level on the first base line, watching the Astros send right-hander after right-hander after right-hander to the mound, waiting for one of your left-handed hitters to crank one over that fence, just arc it right in front of you and end the game for 18 innings and not getting it. I'm a little bit bitter right now, okay? That was not fun. Sitting there for 6.5 hours, almost 6.5 hours watching this game, waiting for your team to score one run and not getting it. Yeah, I'm a little bitter right now. Sue me. All right, I went to a ball game today. I ended up watching 2 ball games, and we didn't win either. So, this series, obviously, there's a lot to go what if about looking back at it. You look at game 1, that's probably the big one. You're in control. Everything's good. It's 7-3. Munoz gets beat a couple times, gives up a 2-run shot, but it's still okay. 9th inning, your manager commits 2 bizarre, inexplicable mistakes that blow the game. Putting in Sewell when there's plenty of evidence that Sewell isn't trustworthy right now over a guy over a guy like Swanson, who has pitched not as good as he was earlier in the season, but is still far more trustworthy than Sewell. And then the big one, the one that will never make sense, the one that I have heard people try to explain this to me over and over and over again, but I don't buy it. I refuse to believe that that was the best thing you could do, putting in Robbie Ray in a closer role to get 1 out against a guy who has owned him. Literally batting over 800 against Robbie Ray. You're going to put him out there in a situation that he is not familiar with. You're going to put him out there in a situation where he's a guy who you count on to throw 100 pitches in a game, and you're going to say, go get 1 out. Like that game, obviously that's going to be the big one. You had that game, it was over, and then your best reliever gives up a 2-run home run, which almost never happens, and then your manager just completely blows his bullpen management in the 9th, lets Houston just barely hang around and find a way to win that game. And today, oh my, wow. Being in the stadium for all those outs, all those strikeouts, it wears on you. And it makes you forget about some of the things that you enjoyed this season. Because talk about a perfect microcosm of the things that ultimately came up short for this team, their lineup. We had phenomenal starters. Most of the year we had a phenomenal bullpen. By the end, it crumbled a little bit, I know. But not today. The bullpen, that was one of the best games I've ever seen any bullpen have, ever. The way they kept digging themselves out of jams, the way they kept going the extra inning. Like, how many guys did we have who almost never go more than 3 outs, go 6 outs? Over and over and over again. And you can't... We didn't even get a runner to third base today, guys. I watched 18 innings, no runners at third base. I don't know where to start with the lineup today. Like, obviously, it's not like the lineup was bad in the playoffs overall. Like, we were great against Toronto. Scored 14 runs in that series. First 2 games against... Okay, the first game against Houston, great. Second game, yeah, okay, 2 runs. That's not really cutting it. You need to score a little bit more if you want to win. But today, who did their job in the lineup? Who did their job? And being that I was there, I can't help but think about how, okay, this is the first home game, playoff game in Seattle in 20 years. Literally 20 years since the last time the Mariners had a home playoff game. I think 21, actually. More than 2 decades. You've got a packed house of people who are just waiting for something to blow up about. Just waiting for something. And that's the best you can do. You strike out 22 times. You go 18 innings and don't even get a runner to third base. Like, forget not scoring a run. You didn't get a runner to third base the whole game, I'm pretty sure. 7 hits in 18 innings. You get to extra innings. The Astros are tapping the bottom of their bullpen. They are down to the nub at their bullpen. They're bringing in guys I've never even heard of. They're bringing in a starter to be a bullpen guy, and he shuts you down for 5 innings. Let's remember here that Robbie Ray was put in that same situation. He couldn't even get 1 out. But their guy, their starter, goes in there in a bullpen situation. He shuts you down for 5 innings, which makes it just extra gross what happened. So, all those opportunities you had to end the game, and it was pulling teeth for you to get a base runner. And I'm sorry, but that is a perfect microcosm for this, where this season fell short, because as much as we had amazing pitching, as much as we had great defense, as much as we were able to find ways to get runs across for most of the season, our batting average was just the pits. Our batting average was pathetic. And in this situation where it's win or go home, must-win scenario to keep the season alive, at home in front of a packed house of rabid fans, and I would know, I was there, and you can't even get out of the starting block. I know look, baseball, the very nature of baseball is that you have extreme results in small sample sizes, but I'm sorry, to come up that short in that situation, I have to look at it a little bit. Which hitter on the Mariners today did their job, even came close to doing their job? Suarez had an infield single. Carlos Santana, I think, had 2 hits in, 7 at-bats? Julio had a double that was a foot away from a home run, and he drew a walk. But other than that, look, I understand that Ty France is probably playing through an injury, but what is he doing waving at this garbage? What are these pitches that he's swinging at sometimes? Just hacking at complete garbage now. Seems like these pitchers have learned something about him. You just keep going to that low outside corner, and he just keeps waving at it. Haniger, ugly at-bats today. He's another guy who had a walk and a hit, but I still feel like he was a net negative because those at-bats are just so hideous. strikeout, not even putting the ball in play. Where's the Haniger from last year? And he's another guy who's probably had his season wrecked a little bit by injuries. But, you know, I look at a guy like Cal Riley, who is playing with a broken thumb and a torn ligament in his hand and is still gutting it out back there. 18 innings of catching behind the plate. And in that Toronto series, he was one of your key hitters. And in that Game 1 game, he was also, I think. Sorry, guys. Things are a little bit of a blur right now because I had a long day. Not easy for me to get out to Seattle and watch a baseball game, especially one that goes 18 innings. But I'm looking at that and I'm going, man, that is a warrior right there. That Cal Riley guy is a warrior. I know he didn't get a hit today, but he got hosed by the refs a couple times, or the umps, whatever terminology you want to use. And he's out there behind the plate gutting it out with like 10 different pitchers today for 18 innings with a busted hand. So I'm looking at that and I'm going, okay, I can understand why the plate might not be your thing today, especially when the umps are against you. But, man, France and Haniger, I barely recognize them right now because they're just hacking at stuff. It's ugly. So, yeah, we didn't have a single hitter do their job today except maybe Santana and maybe Suarez, and that was just because he got pulled before the extra innings more than anything. And maybe it's just as simple as this moment was too big for them. Playing at home with all these expectations in front of 40, 50,000 people who want you to succeed. Maybe their youth and their inexperience at this level, maybe they were pressing. That's kind of how I felt watching the game, They were just swinging for the fences. Swinging for the fences every time. Very little discipline. Couldn't make good contact. And, yeah. Maybe that's what it is, and maybe this is just a necessary step, but I'm bitter. I am bitter about what I had to sit through today at the stadium. Like, watching that stuff at home would have been terrible, but watching it at the stadium is just like, it's like a personal insult to you that's the best your team can do in a win-or-go-home situation at home, first playoff game at home in 20-plus years. And you wasted one of the great pitching efforts in Seattle Mariners history. You had George Kirby, 7 clean innings, very little trouble for him. Lost control a little bit that one inning where he hit a couple batters, but he kept things completely clean. The bullpen, like I said, you had Sewald going 2 clean innings. You had Brash go 2 clean innings, including digging out of Castillo's trouble. You had, God, who else? Murphy. Murphy had to go 2 innings in this game. Of course, he's going to give up a run eventually. I understand he gave up the winning run, blah, blah. It sucks, but it's not his fault. You can't be sending him out there for multiple innings and expect to get away with it every time. We got away with it with a couple guys tonight, putting them in for multiple outs and somehow living to fight another day. And I'm a little disgusted to see them wasted. So yeah, I don't know. Tomorrow, I'm going to put it behind me. I'm going to look at things more objectively, but objectively, even throwing this game out, I can say this lineup, I mean, wow. They leave a lot to be desired. They I don't even know, guys. Like you get 7, 8 chances at an at bat in this game and nobody takes over. Nobody even really does their job outside of, again, like I said, Santana. The guy who actually gets to sit in the dugout. I understand that. He's the guy who doesn't have to worry about playing in the field and getting tired. I get that. But it's just, all I can say is this. I hope the lineup of this Mariners team knows what they blew tonight. Knows what they wasted tonight. One of the greatest pitching efforts I've ever seen from this Mariners team. Just blank after blank after blank, and you can't help them out even a little bit. And I hope that the Mariners management paid attention today and realized, wow, that can never happen again. We need to get better with our lineup. And I'll talk more about that in a future video, but yeah, I was there to watch that. All All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Mariners. Season's over. It sucks, but I'll talk more about that in the future.